I never thought I'd be the kind of guy posting something like this, but here I am. I'm 34, married for almost a decade, 2 kids, decent job at a mid-sized insurance office in Des Moines. Life was safe, predictable, boring even. And then I met her. Her name was Claire, mid-20s, new hire in the claims department. She had this energy that made the fluorescent-lit office feel like a different world. Like the air smelled of summer instead of recycled AC. I know, what am I doing noticing someone half my age? But she laughed at my dumb jokes, asked questions during meetings no one else cared about, and when she leaned over my desk to point out a mistake, I felt my chest tighten in a way I hadn't since college. It started innocently. Coffee breaks, quick chats about weekend plans, swapping stories about the traffic on I-35. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself I was just being friendly. But there's a line between friendly and thinking about her when I'm brushing my teeth. One Friday, she suggested grabbing drinks after work. My wife, Emily, was out of town visiting her parents, and I figured harmless. Just one beer. Except Claire picked this tiny bar in the old part of downtown. Dim lights, vinyl playing softly, smell of hops and leather. The kind of place that feels like it's hiding from the world. We talked for hours. We laughed. I could feel my self-control slipping. When she brushed her hand against mine while laughing at some stupid story about her roommate's cat, my brain went on autopilot. I know it sounds cliché, but it was like a spark. A dumb, reckless, totally avoidable spark. I froze, looked at her, and for 1 second, everything outside that bar, my life, my wife, my kids, didn't exist. I went home that night feeling guilty, nauseous, and alive. I didn't act on anything, not physically, but the seed was planted. Over the next few weeks, our harmless chats turned into late-night texts. Work emails became flirtatious. I would catch myself staring at her Slack profile picture at 2 a.m., heart pounding, knowing I was crossing lines I couldn't uncross. And yet, the thrill was intoxicating. Every mundane morning in the office, everyone typing, phones buzzing, coffee brewing, felt electric because she existed in that space. I started making excuses to linger near her desk, pretending to need clarification on trivial stuff. And I hated myself for it. I loathed myself, but I couldn't stop. One Wednesday, I stayed late finishing a report, just so I could walk her to her car. The parking lot was empty, lit by those harsh sodium street lamps. I wanted to say something, anything, and I did. Just a whisper. "I can't stop thinking about you." She froze. I froze. Then she smiled, this small, sad, knowing smile, and said, "You shouldn't." And that was it. That tiny sentence, that warning, echoed in my head for weeks. But of course, I didn't listen. After that night in the parking lot, things escalated faster than I ever imagined. The texts turned into late-night calls. I would hear her voice, soft and teasing, and I'd feel this terrible, delicious panic. It was like standing on the edge of a cliff, knowing I could fall at any moment. Work became a battlefield of stolen glances and subtle touches. I'd find reasons to help her with reports, linger by her cubicle longer than necessary. I hated the deceit. My marriage felt like a suit I was slowly tearing at the seams, but I couldn't stop. Every time I looked at Emily's texts, her "miss you" messages, my stomach knotted. But with Claire, my chest was on fire. One evening, Emily came home unexpectedly early. I'd left my laptop open on the couch, messages from Claire glowing on the screen. I froze as she walked in. "Working late?" she asked. I stammered, lied, smiled weakly. She didn't say more, just a quiet, "Okay," and a look that made me want to disappear. I went to bed that night feeling like a criminal, lying next to the woman I loved while my heart was somewhere else entirely. Then came the moment I can't forget. Claire invited me out again, saying, "Just one more drink. We need to talk." I should have said no. I should have driven home, locked the door, and called Emily to confess, to stop the spiral. But the pull was magnetic. We ended up at a tiny, almost empty motel bar on the edge of town, the kind with neon flickering in the rain-soaked parking lot. We talked, laughed, and then it happened. One thing led to another, words, touches, a kiss that I will never erase from my memory. In that instant, I felt both exhilarated and sick. The next morning, the motel room smelled of stale beer and regret. My clothes clung awkwardly, my heart pounded, and I knew I had crossed a line from which there was no turning back. I went home, and Emily was there, coffee in hand, smiling like nothing had changed. I wanted to tell her everything, to wipe the slate clean, but I didn't. I swallowed my guilt like poison, forcing a fake cheerfulness that made me feel hollow. I was living a double life in the same house, the same bed, surrounded by the people I loved, and the person I had betrayed most of all, myself. It all came crashing down one rainy Thursday. Emily had been unusually quiet all day, her smile tight, eyes distant. I was tense at work, checking my phone every few minutes, desperate for a text from Claire that I also dreaded receiving. By the time I got home, the house was silent, too silent. Emily was sitting at the kitchen table, arms crossed, staring at a small envelope. My stomach sank. "What's this?" I asked, my voice cracking. She slid it across the table. Inside were printouts, emails, texts, screenshots from my phone. Every lie, every late-night whisper, every stolen touch laid bare. "I trusted you," she said softly, but the calm in her voice made it worse than screaming. "I loved you, and you chose her." I tried to explain, to apologize, to say something that could undo it, but the words stuck in my throat. She shook her head, tears spilling over, and said the line I will never forget. "Some things, once broken, can't be fixed by words. They can only be survived." I moved out that night. I watched our life, the house, the photos, the little toys our kids left on the floor, shrink behind me in the rearview mirror. I realized that I had traded certainty, love, and years of marriage for a thrill that lasted a few months. For Claire, it was fun. For me, it was a lesson in how fragile a life can be when you let desire outweigh responsibility. I didn't end up with her. She was part of my story, but not my future. Emily filed for divorce. My kids stayed with her mostly, and I visit on weekends, carrying the weight of choices that no one else will ever truly understand. Work is awkward. Claire quit after the affair was exposed, moving to Chicago for a fresh start. We texted once, a cold, polite exchange, and that was it. Sometimes I wonder if I was ever really happy with my old life, or if I was just too scared to admit I wanted more. But the truth is clear now. Some mistakes don't just hurt you, they destroy the people you love most. I can live with that guilt, and I can try to be a better father, a better man, but I'll never get that decade back. Edit. I'm posting this not to make excuses or seek pity. I just needed to get it off my chest. To anyone tempted to cross lines at work, listen to your instincts. Desire is powerful, but so is regret. And yet, the worst part wasn't the affair itself. It was the feeling that maybe, just maybe, I wanted it to happen.